What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point. We started this thing back in 2020 and it's taken off to new heights. Obviously, recently we've had Brandon Davis on the show, who was just wrapped up tour with Tim McGraw. Crazy how he was on the show. And recently we've been doing a lot of Nashville artists. Reed Houghton, Bryce Malden, Noah Hudson, just Brian Goyette, just a lot of amazing talent, and just can't say enough about some of these artists, honestly. Like it's crazy how much talent and how much stories that they share through their music. So I'm just on it for the ride, and I'm excited for today's guest, which is Emily Pyscher. Emily, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
And not too bad, not too bad. Just happy to, like I said, be here and have you on the show. So thank you for kind of taking time out of your day to talk about your story through music.
No, I'm so excited to share it with you.
No, of course. So obviously before this interview just started, we were talking that you're in Michigan right now. That's like your home.
Yeah,
But obviously
back
when
at
you're
my parents' house.
yeah, no, honestly, it's like a beautiful background stuff. I mean,
Thank you.
we'll only take the audio from this, but like just so people know, like she's got like a beautiful backyard, like there's clouds in the sky and everything. Like it almost looks like a green screen at this point
I
because it
know.
kind of
Like
does.
I've been used to like the 100-degree weather, and I'm like every minute of the day is outside when it's 70. Like,
No, because it's literally like a perfect setup there. Like you can't make that up. Like if I like that is just like a perfect background, honestly. So just kind of a visual for people that obviously won't be able to see this. Um, but so obviously you're there in Michigan, but then when you're not there, you're down in Nashville, kind of doing your thing, obviously.
yeah. So I moved down to Nashville last July, so I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary.
Oh, okay,
Um,
congrats.
but yeah, it's so insane but exciting that I'm full time down there,
Yeah.
and I try to come back as much as I can, but
No,
hard
exactly.
sometimes.
You always kind of gotta go back to the roots every once in a while to where it
Yeah.
all started for you. But no, that's awesome. Like I said, I've interviewed so many talented artists from down there, and I have a lot of great friends down there. And then actually in October, first week in October, I'm actually heading down there for a week myself.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so I'll be super excited to come down there, and that'll be my first time actually going down to Nashville since
Oh, wow.
since doing the whole music thing and everything back in 2018. So super excited for that. But yeah, no, I'm like I've been talking to all my friends and stuff, and like I'm just like super excited for everything. Like I can't wait to just take it all in. So kind of hopping right into the first question. Always the basic of basics is, where did music start for you? Obviously, some people start the day they were born humming nursery rhymes and all that fun stuff, but then I always like to compare it to myself because I only started back in 2018 with songwriting and producing. I can't sing. Everyone knows that. If I start singing, glass will start breaking. And
Everybody can sing. It's just a matter of how well.
no, exactly. But like, so some people start from the day they were born, singing and playing guitar or piano and stuff like that. But then, like I said, some people start like myself just only 4 or 5 years ago and then really start developing their craft then. So how did music start for you?
So my favorite story, or I should say my parents' favorite story to tell, is they got my older sister, there's like a 10-year age gap,
Mhm.
a guitar for her birthday. And me being like a little 3-year-old, I was like a brat. I wanted it so bad. I would stare at it. I was ripping strings off of it, trying to like get to it. And so I guess I was always like infatuated with a guitar. And then finally at I think it was 7 or 8, my parents got me a couple guitar lessons and it just took off. Like there has never not been a moment of my life that I can remember where it wasn't, I'm moving to Nashville one day, I'm gonna do this one day. And it's so crazy because even when you get stressed out or start spiraling, you're like, Emily, you're living the life that you dreamed of when you were a kid. Like, let's take
Exactly.
this in for a second. So it's super cool because I've always had support, I've always had love for it. And it's just, it's always been music, and just simple as that.
No, exactly. And I mean, you can't get a better answer than that. It's always been about the music. And like I said, I mean, you're doing what you want to do. It's what you love and that you have the passion for. And I mean, obviously we were kind of talking about it before the show started, is I was listening to a lot of your songs and I'm a huge fan. Like you're killing it with the songs, and like your vocals and everything is just bring it all together, and like it's a superstar level. And it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I wrote my first song too when I was 9.
Okay. Yep.
And it was about my sister's now very ex-boyfriend,
Oh no.
and performed it at my 5th grade talent show.
Okay. Okay.
It's just like, it's just so much fun, especially like coming back home. Like, I go through like all these notebooks. Like, I can't read the handwriting because I was
Yep.
9. But
No.
I was like, oh my gosh, like what went through my head when I was writing these things, Emily? Like,
No, exactly. And I mean, I'm 25, but like when I first started really grasping the whole songwriting concept back in 2018, like I went back to some of those notes like a couple weeks ago, and like I was looking at those and I'm like, well, I mean, let me think about that. That was only like 5 years ago. I was only 20, but like still I was like, what was I writing? Like, how did any of this come out? And then all of a sudden I crinkled it all up and it's all just sitting in a
let's
trash
just
barrel at
forget
this point.
about that.
Exactly. It's a nice fire starter right there for a couple of those. I was just like, how did some of those even come about? But it's crazy because like when I'm writing, like I get inspired by a lot of different artists, and that's kind of leading into this next question here, is because I could sit here and name you 100 different artists.
Yeah.
And one thing that really makes me stand out is just I don't box myself into one genre. Now, as much as I love country music, that's what I was born and raised on, but I mean, Chris Daughtry, he's a rock artist and he's easily my all-time favorite artist and definitely a huge inspiration for me. But obviously we could talk about country music and talk about Garth Brooks. We can talk about Travis Tritt, Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, just past, present, future. So kind of my next question is who are some of your inspirations that you kind of really look up to in the music business?
So similar to you, I grew up full country. Like, I didn't know what rap was until high school because like the small town I'm from, you're country or you don't live here. And so I mean it was Taylor Swift all day every day. You know, amazing. How could I, like, I can't even form words to say how much I love her when I was a kid. Like, so she was definitely like my, I want to be Taylor Swift one day and this and that. And as like, you kind of grow up, you're like, you dip into other artists, obviously. And it was Miranda Lambert, Pistol Annies, Dixie Chicks, and that whole kind of like Gretchen Wilson. Their rawness of writing is just amazing. And then I really, really, the past few years have been into a lot older music where it's like the Tom Petty, Bob
Okay.
Dylan, Waylon Jennings, and hearing them, it's the best way I can describe it is they don't pick up a guitar to sing it to somebody. They pick up a guitar to sing for themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I really can relate to them. And it's, they, you can tell in their writing too. It's, they're not writing for a mass audience. They're writing to help them get over something that they're going through.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how I can relate to everything. And you know, you look at the stories of people, how they make it. Like, I record in the same studio as Luke Combs.
Mhm.
And so my producer, I was like, of course, like hard eyes when I found that out. And I was like, tell me the story, like, please, please. And, you know, he was kind of on the same road that I am on now for a couple of years with my producer. And just kind of hearing that, like, okay, like, that's so inspiring to know that it's not just you walk in and you're big. It's you walk in, yep, you gotta make a few trips back and forth at first. You
Yep.
gotta really live off ramen noodles. You gotta just pay your dues and hope that you can make it. And so it's like, I feel like the word inspiration can be taken in so many different ways
Exactly.
because it's like everywhere you look, I'm like, yep, that person just, yep, and that person too. So I feel like really in my writing though, it's Bob Dylan lately.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's awesome because then I mean obviously a lot of people name so many different artists, but that's just a perfect one because it's eventually going to lead us into the next question in a minute here. But obviously, because I mean Bob Dylan, I mean I would say he's definitely one of the greater writers out there with songwriting, and it's crazy because I feel like we'll definitely connect with the songwriting aspect of things because we're writing for how we kind of feel and the stuff that's going on in our lives to kind of, like you said, like we're not like, I mean, yeah, we are writing to share it with fans and the audience and stuff, but at the same time we're kind of writing to help us get over stuff and stuff like that. So really back in like 2018 is when I lost my grandfather, and that's how I wrote my first ever song. Was just I wrote that a month or two after he had passed, and I literally took me maybe 30 minutes to an hour to write that whole song, and it was just all there.
Yeah.
So it's
And
just it's
I
crazy.
find where it's like sometimes like you don't even know what the song's gonna be about. Then you sit at your guitar or piano or whatever it is, and it's just like you just sing it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh dang, that's how I feel right now. But I
No,
mean, it does take those big events that happen to really like form somebody into who they are. And so
exactly. No, so it's crazy. So I mean, but like I said, I definitely, that's the biggest thing that like I love about songwriting is the stories behind them and what people are dealing with and how they decide to say like what's going on in their life. And just, and at the end of the day too, is if I can write a song that is going to help someone, like I don't care if I mean, I do care if it helps a million people, but if I can connect with that one person, just
right,
that one person that says, you know what, that's the song I need in my life right now, and that's going to help me get through, then that my mission's accomplished. I could just stop songwriting tomorrow and call it a day.
right.
So obviously my next question is talking about the creative process, because artists have so many different ways of writing a song, and there's never any rhyme or reason to anything. And kind of before I formally ask the question, I always have to shout out Garrett Walker, who was on the show. Fantastic country artist. Y'all have to go check out his song Double Shot. Just mind blowing. But anyway, the way he kind of said it, and now this is how I ask the question, is the creative process is like a puzzle. Whether you
Yep.
have 500 or 1,000 pieces, how people do 1,000 piece puzzles, still not sure. Still trying to figure that out to this day.
See, I'm a hardcore puzzler, so like
Nah, see, I could maybe do like 250, but like it's still, I always just say like 500 to 1,000 because I feel like it's a bigger concept and it makes a lot more sense. So obviously, like the way he said it is, you have all these pieces laid out on the table, and you're trying to figure out where everything goes. And
yep.
eventually, you start putting the border together, you start putting the middle together, and you figure out where these pieces go. So kind of like the chorus, you put that together, then you start building around that and make the verses and stuff like that. And by the end, you have this full masterpiece, you have this full song. So obviously, it's always a great analogy that I love using, and I always just have to, I told him I'm shouting him out until I stop making interviews. So obviously, Garrett, thank you so much for that analogy. And kind of to formally ask you the question is, what is your creative process like? Because I know you have so many great songs out, and like I had said, definitely When I Said Goodbye was definitely one of my favorite ones. So like, just how does the whole creative process work for you?
So I feel like I don't have one. Like as weird as that sounds, like it changes every single day and it ebbs and flows and like I could literally just be driving down the road, like how I wrote an upcoming song it's releasing called Memory Lane.
Mhm.
And I was driving down the road, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like, and I made the jokes like, hey, memory lane, like this and that, it's like a road I'm driving on. I thought I was so witty. And then like the wheels kept turning and I was like, wait a second, this is a song. So then I went home and I just like, started strumming a guitar. And then first it was like, I went out for a drive or this or that. And then it was just, so it, for that song, it was sparked by like stuff I saw. Whereas, I know we mentioned brought forward for the interview started my song, My Turn.
Yep.
I got into a heated fight with a guy and I was like, it's my turn, dude. Like, step off.
Yeah.
And I was like, my turn. And then I just like sat down, pressed record on my phone. I was like, let's see where this takes me. Like, I'm mad. And what I sang into my phone is what the recording version is. Like,
Yeah.
there's no lyric changes. And then it's just kind of sometimes something lyrics will come to me or a melody and I'll write something but I'm like, well, maybe that's gonna be a really good bridge for something. Okay, let's build a storyline for this song.
Yeah.
Or I get a hook or a first verse. And so I really couldn't tell you, like I don't have one specific process, just kind of like what my brain does one day and then I kind of just flow with it. But I do agree with him, it's like, you have the starting piece, like the first piece to pull out of the box, and now what are you going to do from there? And that
Exactly.
is really great analogy on his end.
No, and literally everyone, like, it takes a second for people to like really wrap their head around the analogy,
Yeah.
because then once you start talking about your process and everything, it's just really, you're like, oh wait, it actually is really like making a puzzle, like kind
Yeah.
of. And it's just like I said, it's always one of my favorite questions to ask, because there is no rhyme or reason. Like there's never a wrong answer, there's never a right answer. I know some people start with melodies and then they build the lyrics off of that, or some people start with the lyrics and then build the melodies off of
Depends on
that.
the day. And I feel like what a lot of songwriters can relate to is that like, so I have very like severe like ADHD and like OCD.
Hmm.
And so like if one thing is in my head, like it's like in there and it gets louder and louder and louder. And then you get like freaked out. And you're like, I need to go play guitar right now. Like I don't care. Like I'm gonna start being so mean to people if I'm not. And you just play that melody over and over and over and over again. And then you're like, okay, wait, I have the lyrics for it now.
Yeah.
Or then sometimes it's the lyrics. And then there's just so many different ways to write a song. And that's why I feel like it is so appealing to so many people who think they can't do it as well.
Exactly. No,
Like,
and it's a crazy process, honestly. Like that's just all it is at the end of the day. And like
yeah,
it's wild because like I said, like I mean, and like the words sometimes don't even come to me. Like sometimes I'll sit there and like I just have to stop because I can't think of anything. And then I mean, you can probably relate to this. Just all of a sudden, like those words come in the most random places, whether I'm in the shower or if I'm driving down, like just driving home from work, not even thinking about music. Like all of a sudden,
yeah.
that stuff just pops in my head, and I'm like, okay, wait, now I got to get the voice memo out. Trying to drive with one hand and get the voice memo out. But like, I just voice
I'm like,
memos are just like a key thing nowadays too. Is
yes.
just like there's so much stuff that I have that I'm just like, wow, wow.
No, like I was making a trip from Michigan to Tennessee and I passed the Glencoe sign in Kentucky
Mhm.
and I got my phone. I was like, we're making a song. This girl is here. Her husband left her and like the rest of the tribe. I had like 400 voice memos and I
Oh,
was like, oh boy.
no, exactly. And that's why my phone is probably so slow to this day, is just because there's way too many voice memos just piled up in there.
I
And I'm
might
like,
not have the pictures, but I have more than enough voice memo.
no, exactly. So kind of hopping into the fourth question. It's
Yeah.
always my favorite question, and artists, I mean, they love being on the show, but they usually hate this question. And they don't hate it, but like it makes you think, and like it really gets the wheels turning and really makes you think. It kind of really just makes you sit there and think about yourself for a minute.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, because I tell artists, listen, there's never a wrong or right answer to this question, but it's one of my favorites, and it really shows my audience really who you are better as an artist, and kind of what we can take away from your music that we can't find in anyone else's music, because there's hundreds and thousands of new artists out there, whether it's in country, rap, pop, just people are trying to make a name for themselves. And you know how it is down in Nashville. There's hundreds and thousands of songwriters down there just trying to do what they can to stick out and make their own music. So my question is at the end of the day, is what makes you you compared to all these other artists out there?
So you're right. But I really it's it's hard for me to put into words what I honestly feel inside about songwriting and why I'm an artist. And at the end of the day, like even asking myself, am I trying to be an artist right now by releasing this song, or am I staying true to being a songwriter right now?
Yeah.
And it's kind of just going back to that fact of like I have an heart of an artist but a soul of a songwriter. Like I am going to do everything in my power to maintain my image. Like, obviously being in Nashville, you are surrounded by beautiful women and just like they're amazing singers, amazing songwriters. And, I go into shows and they're wearing minimal clothing. They're wearing, very sparkly things and their hair is perfectly styled. And I'm in there with like my ripped jeans, my boots, like a little flannel layover.
Yeah.
And I kind of struggled with that for a while, but I was like, nope, that's who I am. Like my songs reflect that. And it's really easy to get caught up in comparing yourself with everybody because you'll walk by and be like, oh man, she hit that note better than I would have, or that's a good line. Wow, she's better than me. And it's kind of standing back and being like, but why are you down here? Are you
Exactly.
down here to, look beautiful in front of all these people and hope they're listening? Or are you down here to share your songs with people and to connect? And I got into all of this because it's the idea of like them turning on a song one day
Mhm.
and feeling like they know me enough to be like, she knows what it's like, I know what it's like we are now connected. And I feel like that's kind of getting lost down there nowadays, and it's getting lost in the writing and the appearances. But I really try to do my best to stay true to it.
No, exactly. No, and listen, that's honestly one of the better answers that I've had on the show, honestly, to this date. It's just no, I mean, because like I said, you're a fantastic songwriter, and I
Thank
know
you.
it's like, and it doesn't even matter where, and like, it doesn't matter if it's in Nashville or if it's in California, because I know there's a lot of singer songwriters out in California and stuff too that I've talked to, and the kind of the same stuff happens, but there's no need to mm, form yourself into how these other artists look that are better than you. Yeah, they might be a little better than you, they might be able to sing that better note, but at the end of the day, you got to stay true to yourself, and you got to be who you are. And if you know who you are, and honestly, one of my favorite words that I love using that I don't really get to use that often is instant identity. Like,
Yeah.
you know what you are, who you are, and you know that you don't have to blend into what the scene is down there. You don't have to change yourself. You're just being true to yourself, and you're being authentic.
Right.
So
And
honestly, props to you just for mentioning all that and saying all that, because it's honestly just one of the better answers that I look for when I ask that question.
well, some people they get like butthurt about it too, but it's like I can't people can't stop pretending like they don't see it. Like I feel like
Exactly.
a lot of people down here they want to be an artist, which is completely fine. Like that's why a lot of people come down here and I
Exactly.
respect those people. But instead of being they want to be an artist, so I'm going to write a song to be an artist rather than I'm going to write a song and people might listen to it and that's going to make me an artist.
Exactly.
And I feel like having those two different perspectives really kind of sets people apart down there.
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, no, I mean, you said it all perfectly. Like, I really don't have any other words for that, honestly. Like, it's just the way you said everything, it just fills everything out, and I the exact same way, and I know what you mean.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you understand.
So kind of hopping into the last question before we hear some live music from you, because that's always my favorite part, is hearing the live performances. They're next level, and it's just, I mean, as much as I love asking questions, it's just the hearing the performances is always my favorite part. But kind of looking towards the future. Obviously you have the new song Calling You Mine coming out June 24th. So that's coming out, but what are your goals as an artist? Where do you kind of want to go with your music, and just what else can we expect down the road after you release that song?
So, I'm actually another reason why I'm up in Michigan is I'm filming a music video for
Oh,
Calling You Mine. And it's going to be at the farm, not my farm where like I grew up, but at a farm where I spent like half of my childhood. And I'm so excited to like reconnect there.
yeah.
So you can expect a music video for Calling You Mine.
Okay.
And then I am releasing an EP in September, and it has like all my favorite songs I've ever written on it. And I'm just over the moon for people to finally like listen to the songs I've been like I want them to know so bad.
Yep.
But other than that, I'm really just kind of putting myself out there, and if people listen, give me a listen. Like
No, I mean, absolutely. And like I said, I can't wait for more music to come from you. I'm definitely a huge fan of all the songs that you have out now. And obviously Calling You Mine, I can't wait for that to come out. Obviously that's only a couple weeks away now at this point. And then obviously when the EP comes out, what'd you say, September, correct?
in September,
Yeah,
yes.
so honestly, once that comes out too, I will be on the ride with you before that, after that, and for all the years to come until you finally call it quits and stop releasing music. Just
Same
because,
here. Same here for you.
yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like I said, you're just a fantastic singer and songwriter, and that's why I reach out to artists like yourself to have you on the show and to have you share your story through music, because it's just really cool and really unique just to hear these stories and to hear what you're doing in the music business. Because sometimes fans and stuff, oh yeah, they'll listen to a song and they're like, oh yeah, that's great, but they don't they don't know the backstories and kind of how everything plays about. So that's why I just always love doing these interviews, and it's an amazing process.
No, trust me, I really appreciate all that you do and have done for songwriters and artists like that. Like, it might not, you might not think you're making an impact, but you really are.
Yeah.
So, thank you for giving me the platform.
No, of course. And honestly, like, I kind of have to show you out a little bit too, because when I had reached out on Instagram to do the interview, you gave me the email to kind of reach out to other people, like managers and stuff like that. And now I just got like 3 or 4 other interviews now too. So
Oh,
like,
from them?
yes, from
Oh
them.
my
Yeah.
God,
So
yay!
like, technically you helped me get more interviews. So I like, it's just like, I'm yeah, no, I have 4 other interviews that I booked with them now. So like I'm like super excited because I had reached out and I was like, yeah, I want to schedule the interview with Emily and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And they're like, oh, well, we do have some other artists too if you are interested. And I said, absolutely. Like it's just like it's a passion of mine. And it's just like I said, if I can go out of my way to help someone, at the end of the day, that's what makes me happy. And that's what makes me be able to sleep at night, knowing that I went out of my way to help someone else and to help share their story and everything.
Oh my God. Why can't people be more like you?
No, hey, I mean, I try. I mean, my parents clearly raised me successfully, obviously. I mean, not to brag, but they are the best parents in the whole world. But anyway, but no, that's what I love doing. And we kind of talked about before the interview started, is back in 2020 when I started this, I interviewed 4 artists in one day, and I thought, okay, that's it. Like, that's all I'm doing. Like, yeah, it was fun, but like, who else is really going to come on the show? Like, why do people even want to come on? I just started this today.
Right.
And like, I had no views, like nothing like that. Like, I was still kind of creating my craft as a songwriter and producer, but now here we are 2 years later, and I'm meeting so many amazing, talented artists like yourself.
I love that. No, because you're in it for the right reasons, and we can tell. Like,
Exactly.
up on.
No, exactly. So kind of getting into the good part of the interview is hearing a song from you. So normally what I do is I'll put myself on mute. You can talk about the song that you're going to do, and then obviously play a little bit of the song for us. There is no pressure, but I do tell people it's either chills or go home at this point, because it was about a month and a half ago, 2 months now. Kelly and Kat, they were 2 amazing singer-songwriters. They're sisters from New York,
Okay.
and they did an acoustic version of one of their songs, and that was like one of the first times that I got chills like on the show, like, and I usually don't ever get chills that much.
Wow.
So like they kind of like set the tone and they set the bar for each and every week that I have a new artist on here. So if I get chills, then your interview airs and you're good. If I don't get chills, then I'm not really sure what we're doing with this interview. But so
Gotcha. Well, I will try to give you chills, but don't lie to me if I didn't.
nah, you are good. So no pressure, but I'll put myself on mute. I'll kind of let you take the floor, and you are good to go.
All right, I got my guitar right here. So basically, this song is called Callin You Mine, and like we said earlier, it's releasing June 24th, and it's available for pre-save now, actually. So if you guys like it, go give it a click, and then definitely listen to the full recorded version, though, on June 24th. I went out for a drive, and I got stuck at a traffic light. I saw your eyes in a photograph, sitting right there on my dash. But the night we danced, just you and I. When we stood frozen in time, the whisper of that night replays in my mind. That sundress I saved for you, honeysuckle field made for me and you. Boy, I hope you don't mind if I do it right this time. Boy, I hope you don't mind if I try on calling you mine. I'ma try on calling you mine. I was gambling with a dime, hoping I get away with my favorite crime. I reeled you in, you called my bluff. You said, I know you ain't that tough. Well, wait until you find what I've got in store for you this time. That sundress I saved for you, honeysuckle field made for me and you. Boy, I hope you don't mind if I do it right this time. Boy, that was Callin You Mine.
Honestly, like I don't know what to say at this point. The first note, the minute you started the song, that's when the chills started.
Oh my God,
Like
I thought you were gonna be
honest,
like,
like
you were so off.
100%. Literally the first note, I was like, okay, they're already starting. And then when you hold out mine, like during the song, it just then the full chills just came in, and I said that's it. It's
Oh my
game
God.
over. I was
No,
like, her
no,
interview's safe, it's releasing, like we're all good. We don't need to worry about anything.
no, this song. So I wrote it when I was I was still living back home and I was going out on like a couple of dates with this one guy. And I like it was just like the most magical, like out of a rom-com kind of a thing. And I was like laughing because it was so cheesy what had happened the night. And it was like we were driving around the dirt roads and found a flower field, or so stereotypical, I know.
Yeah.
But I come home and it was one of those songs where it was just like it was there.
Yeah.
And recording it, it's funny because you brought up the long mine. I couldn't stop giggling when I was recording this song because I was just having so much fun. And I was literally holding the word mine and I just start hysterically laughing. And my producer is like, what just happened? Are you okay? He thought I was like dying because he couldn't hear that it was laughs. He thought I like swallowed a bug. But no, I love it so much. And I honestly think one of my favorite lines I've ever written is gambling with a dime.
Mhm.
I think it describes love so perfectly in my opinion.
Yeah. No, and I mean that's awesome. Like I just like I said, I got the chills, and it was just it's such a great song. It's such a great storytelling aspect, and I hear a lot of those inspirations that we kind of talked about when you were talking about those inspirations and stuff like that, whether it's in your vocals or in your songwriting. I hear all of that stuff, and like I said, just props to you, and you're an amazing singer-songwriter.
Well, thank you so much. Like I've had such a blast coming on here and oh, you're just so sweet.
No, thank you. So obviously that kind of concludes everything. Before I do my little outro here, as everyone knows, where can we find you on social medias?
So my last name is pretty tricky, but it's Pyscher. And so if you just look up Emily Pyscher, I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can go to my website at emilypyscher.com and I'm everywhere. Just Google my name.
No, perfect. I always do. I will just have to put this in there. Obviously, I like to give myself props because everyone knows I screw up names all the time. But just for the record, I did get your name on the first try before we started recording.
You
So
are. You're like the first person to do that.
yes, so I am just like proud of myself for that. I was like, we don't even have to do this interview at this point. Like, I got her name right. Like, does no, because it is kind of tricky. It's like it's Pyscher, and I was like, that Y is just throwing me off. Like,
I'm
it's
Swedish, so if that helps, like
okay, okay, all right,
that's
no,
why
but
it's weird.
no, but that's awesome. So obviously, everyone, that's Emily Pyscher. Amazing singer songwriter. She has that new song "Calling You Mine" coming out June 24th. And then the EP, we'll look forward to that in September. And Emily, again, just thank you so much for taking time out of your day to kind of sit here, talk to me. Obviously, I know sometimes that can be painful, but just sitting here talking about your story through music and just having a conversation.
Oh no, trust me, I've had so much fun with you, and I hope we can meet again.
No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'll be down in Nashville in October, so we'll definitely have to try and meet up at some point then. And who knows, maybe even down the road. That's why I love doing these, because it opens doors for collabs and co-writes and stuff like that as well. So I mean, the doors are always open. So I had a blast talking to you today, and just thank you for taking time to be on here.
Of course. Well, thank you for giving it to me.
No, of course. So that kind of concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is every Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got a new artist on here. You never know who it's gonna be. You never know what we're gonna talk about and where things are gonna lead. So y'all stay tuned for next week, and thanks for tuning in.